So I take that very personally, what that kid is doing.
Well, no, I agree, and that's where really some of my issues are at, is that everyone. Okay, so you get these larger channels that people are just in love with on one side, but on the other side, people are calling them trash. But because they're calling them trash, everybody
now I'm trash.
Exactly. You're trash. I'm trash. And hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 podcast of Saving Ghosts, where I'm going to be joined by guest Josh Lewis of Hope Paranormal. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the morals and ethics of the paranormal field. Are there any? If so, where have they gone? And debunking. Yes, we actually think it's a good thing, but there's a lot of good, honest conversations and some feelings that get out in this particular conversation. So stick around.
My name is Philip Page. Since 2000, I have been studying life after death and consciousness as energy. I am a registered parapsychologist with the Parapsychological Association, holding degrees in business and psychology, and am a registered mental health provider. My research on the sound frequency of spirit communication is being published in the American Paranormal magazine. My new mission is not only to help spirits where I can, but to also protect the integrity of those who have passed.
Well, hey, listen, man, thanks for being willing to take the time to sit back and just have a chat over.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
But yeah, no, thanks again, man, because I don't think there's a lot of people who are really sitting down and just having communications and real conversations about this. You have a lot of people who are either really angry, it seems, or you have a lot of people who just don't want to deal with it anymore. And I think there's got to be some sort of a middle ground.
Well, I mean, everything about what I do is real. So everything I should be able to talk about. There's no subject that we shouldn't be able to talk about. And if there's something uncomfortable with people and topics, which there are plenty of topics that are uncomfortable, then, we should be able to talk about it. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I can't stress that enough, man. Like, I'm so sick of it, but at the same time, I have to accept a lot of it and just accept it and know that I just, have to keep doing my thing. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I can talk about it,
Well, and that's why, first off, before we really get into
we're not even started yet, have we?
Not officially, but man, apparently we are ready to go about this. I want to say congratulations. This is the very first podcast that we're going to be doing.
Oh, is it really?
Number 1. And so I've been teetering on it. Is it something I want to do, something I don't want to do?
Same here, man.
Fantastic. Well, you and I had that phone conversation.
Yeah.
We were kind of venting to one another just a little bit. And when we got off the phone, I thought, man, I wonder if he would be willing to do this. And so we had another conversation, and you were very, very, very gracious in saying yes, that you'd be willing to do this. And I knew that you were going to be the guy to come to, because you just said it. You have nothing to hide.
Right.
And I know that you are open about what you do. And the one thing, I don't know if a lot of people, I know that your viewers know this, but I don't know if a lot of people in general know this about you, that when it comes to devices like with your app, for example, you welcome people to contact you. And, hey, Josh, how does this work? Oh, hey, did I do this right?
All the time.
You invite them to ask questions, which is phenomenal. And thank you for that openness.
Oh, man. I just started actually just emailing people that have questions, and I'm like, you know what? Give me your phone number. I'll call you. And people are like, what? And I'm like, I don't care. I'll call you. I'll spend 10 minutes with you. And I call these people, and they're like blown away that I called them. You know what I mean? And I'm like thinking to myself, I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, how else are you going to learn? And I can't explain it through the email sometimes. So if I can just jump on the phone with you, I can show you a few minutes, and they're like all the better for it. I mean, the messages I get after those calls are like, oh my God, I now it's working for me, or now I understand what you're talking about, and now I get why I'm only hearing gibberish before, and this and that, da 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 da. So I mean, whether it's the paid version or the free version, I don't even differentiate. I don't care. It's not like, oh, did you pay? Yes, then I'll get on the phone with you. You didn't? That's the free version. You're on your own. I don't care. I really will help you with the free or the paid. It doesn't matter.
Well, and I can attest to that because you were on the phone with me and you were like, hey man, I can see how you're moving the slider and you're doing it too fast. Here's how you do it. And you almost treated it like a dance move. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2.
Yeah.
So
there's a rhythm. There's a rhythm. Absolutely.
There is a rhythm. And I have worked with other apps in the past. I'm not going to say necessarily which ones. And as a side note for anybody who does watch this later on, you and I did have a conversation that we were going to be open about our conversations, but we weren't necessarily going to throw out names, and we weren't necessarily going to throw people under.
Try not to.
Fair enough. What I was going to say was that there are other apps that I have worked with, and there were some, one in particular that I didn't get anything out of. Others you kind of have some guesswork about. Was that something? Is that a false positive? Is that real? But with yours, you have worked to try to eliminate as many false positives as you can, if I'm correct. Yeah,
that's right.
Can I be nosy and ask what is different about yours than
anyone else's?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, the free app on the phone took 6-7 months of just like working every night to build it. I mean, a lot of work went into it. Yeah, I mean, you have the ability to use gibberish sound, human voice, but no words, and it's chopping it up. The program itself is chopping it up. See, the other app that I think you're talking about has just an MP3 of like reverse slowed audio, and it just plays that same track over and over again from start to finish. So you're going to get the same sequence of sounds going on. There's no deviation of sound. So you have that. My program is taking an MP3 of, like I said, reversed, slowed, and then chopped up audio. On that MP3 is already every 3 seconds chopped up audio. But then the program, the app itself, and the pro version of my computer program version, the program itself will just continue to move randomly throughout that MP3 and choose different sounds. So you're going to get a lot of different variations. You should never get the same sequence of sounds. Now, can you hear some of the same sounds come through? Well, sure, because you have an MP3 of 7 or 8 minutes, I think it is, of just reversed human speech. But, you should always get. So I've been, I think what's amazing about it is that the phone app has been out since 21, I think. So it's been out for like 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And it's the same darn tracks. It's the same tracks, and I've been using it in every session. Forget about just me using it in every session or every other session. You've got thousands of other people now that are using, and it's the same garbage, garbled whatever, garbage audio, whatever. It's the same audio, and everyone's getting different responses. How is that possible? Right. It's not possible if it's fake or if it's not real or whatever. You know what I mean? This is amazing, and that's I think is so cool, that because people are constantly sending me their clips for free. Mm-hmm. They don't, I say send it to me, and they send me their clips, and I'll play a 25-second response, and it's someone's loved one saying their name or saying, yes, I'm here, or I love you, or something but it's specific, responding to their question. That's priceless, dude.
Right. Exactly. And I'm happy to see, because it seems like not just ITC, but just paranormal in general has gotten stale. We see a lot of people doing a lot of the same stuff. And so it's nice to see when someone is actually working on trying to up the game a little bit, because we have so many people who are going around, both teams or just solo, making claims that what they do is real, or if they're not outwardly saying it, they're at least suggesting it. And this is something that's kind of been on my mind for a while, and I know that you and I have chatted about it a little bit in the past. But it seems to me, and by all means, let me know if you disagree or if you do agree, but it seems like the tide is starting to turn just a little bit, that we are seeing more and more people, at least I feel like I'm noticing it, who are in paranormal, who are truly trying to make something of it, trying to understand it. And these are the ones that seem to be coming out as debunkers now. Before, it was people who they were just skeptics and they would just debunk everything. But now we have people, and we've seen it actually lately with Zach Bagans and Nick Groff coming out and calling him out. But we're also seeing it on the YouTube level as well. And I don't know. I find this fascinating in a way, and it makes me wonder, what direction are things starting to go in?
Well, I got to talk about that for a second. You're touching on a hot topic for me, because I think debunkers are great. I think it's awesome, but not the brand of debunkers that we're getting now. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I mean, this has turned into another thing now, where the reason I say that is this is what I'm saying. I have been the target of debunkers, mm-hmm. and I've never been debunked. Mm-hmm. I don't give it. Show me a valid debunk of me, and we will talk about it right now. Mm-hmm. Now, this guy that wears a hockey mask with a real Southern accent,
right?
He's attacked me multiple times. Okay, and nothing he says is true or right. Now, a lot of it's speculation. A lot of it is personal attacks. Mm-hmm. So you're not debunking, oh, this guy's really talking to this one. Yeah, right. You think you're Jesus. And oh, now here he comes. He's going to come in here and he's going to, I mean, dude, you're not debunking me. One guy actually proved that what I said was actually 100% truth. I say in every video, and I put up the blurb, the text of the Hope Voice Signature Method. What the heck is the Hope Voice Signature Method? I'll tell you what it is. It's me taking the person's actual voice, whoever I'm trying to reach, and taking that voice and doing the same thing that's on my app. I'm taking it, I'm reversing it, I'm slowing it to 60, 70%, I'm chopping it up into 3-second increments, randomly putting it together. And the idea is that you're giving this person that you are trying to connect with their own voice back to use. Can we say that it is definitely them? No, we cannot. I cannot say 100% it is them. All I can do is, because I am a trained medium, and that's the reality of it. I've worked with many people. I've worked with the institutes, PhDs on testing my ability, and the results were fantastic. Over 3,000 readings that I've done to date that are for clients with real evidential results. Okay, but I have to intuitively connect to this person. I have to see them. I have to hopefully and if I don't see them, then I'm not going to be able, I don't feel comfortable turning on my box and asking for them. But so when I see them, then I turn on, and the idea is that they can now use their own voice. And so I tell everyone what this is. And so this, hockey mask wearing guy goes, he tries to debunk my one of my well-known sessions and goes, look at this. I found his response and I reversed it. And there's a part of this person's interview wow, what a fake. And I went, I don't understand what you just said. You just said exactly what I told you I'm doing. So where is it that you've debunked what I've done? There's nothing. I'm telling you that if you reverse some of the responses, you may hear some words from the original audio. It's a part of it. I mean, I can't chop it up into 1 second increments. It's just too short. You got to get a little bit of some sound in there of an enunciation from the reversal of the word, I guess. You need some of that flowing human speech, but you just don't want any words. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's just stuff like that. I mean, you got these orbs. These are beautiful orbs that are shooting straight up out of my head, or they're dropping down and stopping and then going forward and then back and then going up. There's all kinds of intelligent movement with these light anomalies that are coming in. And, so the debunkers are not properly debunking sometimes. And that's and now it's become a thing where, like you mentioned one guy in your video, and I know that you said you had respect for him because you like what he's saying. And I'm not disagreeing with some of the things he's saying. It's this guy with the beard, right. And I get that. And, and he says, I'm never going to talk about Hope and Huff because they're just so, far gone and whatever. And I said, okay, that's fine. I mean, if you don't want to, but it's not because you're leaving me alone because you think I'm real. It's because you think I'm the worst of the worst. And I think that if you were open enough and you were objective enough to have a conversation with me, I would open up all of it to you. Mm-hmm. I would talk to you about all of it. Now, if there's a technique or a method you disagree with or something, or you think that that's not ITC, then we could talk about it. Mm-hmm. But I've never laid in a response. I've never faked a piece of evidence in my life. I've never embellished a piece of evidence in my life. I want the real. I want the real information. I want the real evidence. I want to make real connections. Right. And I'm willing to go further than what the traditional paranormal team is willing to do. A lot of them are just not willing to, touch the stuff I'm doing.
Well, what I've noticed, there's actually a few things that you mentioned that I want to touch on. What I have noticed, what it seems anyway, is that you have, as far as teams go, you have a lot of people who they like the toys, they like the lights, they like the did you hear that? Oh, I'm being possessed, and just all of this nonsense.
Because they saw that the views responded to it.
Exactly. And which that's going to lead me to a question later on. I apologize for the noise in the back. It's my dog.
No,
he has a tire that's a toy that you put treats in, mm-hmm. and apparently he doesn't like the fact that I'm not paying any attention to him. So I'm sorry about that. But I know the guy that you're talking about with the mask, and recently when I came back from my hiatus from YouTube, which was intended to be me leaving YouTube,
right?
I went on a little bit of a mission, and I looked up everybody. I looked up me, I looked up you, I looked up some others, and I just put in debunk or fake or whatever. And surprisingly, you'll probably be happy to hear there's not as much out about you as what you might think. In fact, he is the only one, and I think there's 2 videos, and you've already addressed that. And I watched those videos, and the entire time I'm thinking, well, that's not debunk, that's opinion. Mm-hmm. That's not debunk, that is assumption. That's not a debunk.
It's not a true debunk. It's not true debunking.
Debunk. I want to, if now it's one thing to say it's my opinion,
right?
I feel, I think, I don't
morally, I don't like what this guy's doing.
That is something completely different, and I get that. But there's others out there who they do have several people,
good debunks,
they are good debunks, and they're worldwide debunks. The gentleman that you were talking about with the beardo, why I started watching him, or paying more attention to him, is because he believes in the paranormal. He believes it exists.
That's cool.
And so, and he goes out and he does search for, so he's not a skeptic. He's someone who believes. He is tired of people putting up an Xbox Connect and faking stick figures. He's tired of the drama and the nonsense, and he's tired of people faking their sessions just to get more subscribers and just to get more views. And so I agree that if you're going to debunk, actually debunk. Hey, I see where you did an effect right here.
Well, your debunks are very debunky. They're very good. They're very, like you keep your opinion out of it. If you do state your opinion, you say it. But you say here, this is how you're saying, I don't know if this is how it was done, but this is how I was able to reproduce this effect or this result. Okay. And you can make the decision. So you're kind of, you're staying really true to that. And they're very good videos where if the person that is being talked about is upset, that's on them because they're just, they're feeling personally attacked. But, but now what I've seen is between that guy and other debunkers that are like that, where it's all about bashing the person, whether they deserve it or not. I'm not saying some people don't deserve it, because some people do. I mean, I can name, and I'm not going to, but I mean, so I get that. But, it's now become a competition between these other debunkers for views and things like that. So now they're having to come up with more sensational content. So they have to call people more names, or they have to really say more outrageous things and be more attacky, more, they have to be more vicious in a way, because that's what's going to get, because the people that are watching, a lot of them are not looking for a true debunker. They're looking for, I saw this guy do a session on this well-known person, or they did this on this missing person, or whatever it is, and I just can't stand them. They're the most horrible people, and I need to watch someone that's going to agree with me. And I get it, but I mean, it's made it for really just low-class YouTube in a way, you know what I mean? And it sucks.
It's funny that you say that, because I was I was thinking just the other day, and I'm not saying all of YouTube, but in this particular niche, has YouTube turned into more of a tabloid TV type?
Well, anything can go on there. So of course you're going to have some really crazy, I mean, some people that follow me, comment with some really crazy ideas, and they saw it on another video somewhere, and they're like, I think Jamie Foxx is still, or is dead, and he's, his avatar is being carted out, to people. And I'm like, what? No, yeah. I don't think that. I think Jamie Foxx is alive still. I think he's, so there's a lot of conspiracy stuff that just gets peddled as like, this is the fact. Now they put some fake news looking logo on it or whatever they're doing. And then now that's what it is. And you have a lot of people muddying the waters, man. I mean,
you really do. And especially in a day and age where AI and deepfake is available everywhere. Someone could take this conversation that we're having and completely alter it if they so chose to.
Our voices are very easily reproduced now because of AI. There's many apps out there and different things now. I mean, forget about celebrity reproducing clips. You can just reproduce. I mean, people are getting phone calls from their loved ones saying, I'm out of gas. Can you Venmo me some money right now, or something like that? And it's a scammer that got the person's voice and reproduced it through AI. Exactly. So it's not even like well-known people, deep fakes. I mean, those are like, even becoming more and more common, but regular regular people are having their voices copied.
So when we are talking about this realm of paranormal and spirit communication, and obviously it is important to a lot of people, because they have a loved one that they want to make sure they're okay, or they want some comfort in knowing what's going to happen when it's my time to go because my health isn't doing so good. Let me backtrack just a little bit. People ask me, or they've been asking me lately, why do I even bother being upset over this situation? And I tell them it's because there's a responsibility, I feel, with the larger content creators who state that they are real to actually be real, because we're playing with people's emotions. We are playing with people's expectations. And when you have been in this field, and also when you understand the technical side of it, I know that you have made some films. I have filmmaking as a background as well. So when you understand the technical side of it, and you can look at someone's video and you can go, oh, they just created a matte, and they're just doing keyframes to create this shadow on a wall or whatever, because you see it doesn't blend right, you see it doesn't move right, you see that the resolution or whatever it may be is different. But yet there are so many people who they are dialed into that. Oh my God, be safe. Are you okay? And for those who are really trying to do a sincere job, you're looking at that and go,
I mean, Philip, when I first started this and I started showing stuff on YouTube, I thought I was going to change the world with what I was showing people. And it was, in a small little way. It was changing people's worlds because they were finding me and they were tuning into my genuine honesty of sharing what I was sharing with them. And they could see that I wasn't acting holier than thou. I was just, doing what I was doing. I made mistakes as far as with my research, but never anything I got false positives before. I mean, everyone that does this work is going to get false positives. That's what happens. But over time, I've realized it's such an uphill battle. So now all I can do is just do what I do. And I made a statement in a video that I did when I reached out to the Idaho 4 victims about, a couple months after their the news story broke. So it wasn't super fresh, but I said, I don't know anymore who is doing what anymore. I cannot trust anyone else's work other than my own. Right. And some people took offense to that, like viewers, subscribers. They were like, we don't need you to tell us who to trust and who not to, or that you're, and I'm going, no, I'm not saying that like I'm better than anyone. I'm just saying that I used to follow, I said, there's a couple small channels that I follow. I love Judy, Electric Medium. Mm-hmm. I love Philip. I love, Steve-O at S&K Paranormal. These are small little guys that are doing real work. And it's just awesome. And I love watching that. But I can't follow these other paranormal channels that are going into buildings anymore. Right. I can't watch these sessions. I don't care for the Salmon Colbys and all of this other stuff. I don't. I mean, but, I can see that if I want to Omar Gosh this stuff, if I want to Salmon Colby this stuff, I could have some serious views if I want to like get into that realm. And everything is dark and evil and someone's getting attacked and it's all that. That's not what I do. That's not what I get. Have I got negative things in the past? Yes, I have. But it's very rare, and it's more from people, souls on the other side, not dark, malevolent demons that are trying to ass rape me or whatever. I mean, it's just not, that's not what's happening. And people don't get that. And I get that that's not a very high viewership situation. So, you know what I mean? But, I made that statement and I was like, because there's a guy out there that I trust. He's a Greek guy. He's got about 400 plus, 1,000 subscribers. And I really think he's an amazing guy, but I don't think he is vetting or displaying his footage properly. And I think that if he did take more time and do that, he would be one of those awesome channel. I think he's good. I think he's great. So I have nothing bad to say about him. There's the kid that hides his face that we see the box that's non-functional, 350,000, subscribers. And this non-functional box just sits there and his hands are every word he says, his hands move with his words, and and he acts like he's real, but we know that he's completely and utterly fake. And if you wanted to show a little bit of the process, the sound source, what you're doing, I mean, boxes don't just work on their own every time you speak. They don't just respond after you without any kind of maneuvering. There's some boxes. Certain boxes work differently than other types. So that's a completely fake channel, and that replicates what I'm doing. So I take that very personally, what that kid is doing.
Well, no, I agree, and that's where really some of my issues are at, is that everyone. Okay, so you get these larger channels that people are just in love with on one side, but on the other side, people are calling them trash. But because they're calling them trash, everybody
now I'm trash.
Exactly. You're trash. I'm trash. Regardless of how much work you show, hey, listen, I'm actually making this thing. Yeah, you can still fake it. Well, there's only so much a person can do through YouTube to show that what you are doing is
of course.
You can do as many lives as you want. You can take your box apart and say, look, here's. But there's always going to be that doubt in their mind.
Because this is the because. They're not believing it, and if they don't believe that type of thing could happen. And so if that's the case, no matter what you do, I mean, unless you drove to their house and sat in front of them the whole time, and then showed them the source, then you would convert that one guy to a believer. But that would take so much effort to just convert one guy. Exactly. It's a pointless, futile challenge, but or fight. But I mean, I mean, I am the only guy that I know, as far as I know, that created an app, a free app, and a program that I'm using in every session that I'm doing, and getting amazing results. And I'm saying here, now you use the same program and app yourself. You use it.
Correct. Yeah, I have it on my phone. There is one. I had to laugh to myself, because that's exactly what you do. You tell people this is the name of the app. This is how it works. Go ahead and try it. If you're not sure of what you got, send me the results. Yep. Never once have I heard you say, This is
my proprietary blend of algorithms that no one can have. It's my secret sauce that no one can know about.
Right. I've never heard you say it's unexplainable or anything like that, because you know how it works. You've told people how it works. It's kind of like what I've been delving into. I had a theory, I tested it, and I'm trying to work on that theory.
And I heard some great responses from that too. So that was really cool.
Well, thank you for that. It was just a theory, because if we all, I guess, believe to some degree that spirit is energy, and energy can alter other energy, so whether it's an app or it is fuzz on the TV, there's energy there that can be altered. And so the idea was, well, if voice is tone and frequency that moves on a wave through air, is it possible to capture that through air? And because I believe in a way that's how they are manipulating apps, taking that noise base.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have, EVP is exactly what you're talking about. Right. True EVP is exactly what you're talking about. So when the recorder is a newer recorder and it is, a silent recorder, there is no internal noise being created by the recorder, or, it's just, that's what it is. It's recording the air.
Right.
You're going to get a very faint shift in sound that is going to sound like a whisper. That is the spirit using its pure energy to imprint their energy onto the recording.
Exactly.
Now, when you get things like the DR60, you're going to get the recorder creating an internal noise that they're able to use. There's no words in that recorder. There's no like gibberish sounds. It's just a sound. And they're taking that, and it's just they're able to amplify their own energy by using that. And then the same premise is happening with my app. Mm-hmm. With my app, you're now feeding them sound that they're going to be able to shift and manipulate. And so, it's the same thing. I mean, we're just trying to give them a little bit more sound so that it's easier for us to hear, as opposed to, the Sony ICD or whatever it is that is just a very silent recorder. Mm-hmm. But boy, you can capture some really great EVP on there. Not all the time, but just, when you do, it's really great.
And I think that's one of the biggest differences between, let's say, what you have done with your app and what I'm trying to do with mine is that you do provide that sound base that will help amplify. I really have to dig, and kind of like with you, I show people how to do it if they are ever interested, and I give people the audio from each session. So if you want to play with it, you can. Yep. But you really do have to dig. You have to use your noise reductions, and you have to pull up the audio to where, using an app, all you have to do is throw on your headsets and listen. Mm-hmm. So there's that benefit. But we're talking about how things are starting to change a little bit in regards to the mindset and how paranormal is viewed. Do you think that people who work in paranormal, do you think they have a responsibility to show their credibility or their credentials in any way? I never would have thought it would have been necessary in the past. But then as time has gone on and more of the debunking has come out, now he wants to go outside, more and more of the debunking has come out. And like I said earlier, all of us are getting grouped into that. For me only, personally, I felt like there was, oh man, I got to do something to show that I'm legit compared to, numbnuts over here. So,
I mean, I think so, but I mean, no one is really a science. I mean, none of us are. I mean, I can speak for myself. I am not a scientist. I'm not. I work in the field of science, of home science, of being a home scientist. I don't even know the term for it. But the thing is that like, I've worked with the Bigelow Institute of Consciousness Studies on 2 experiments, blind cold experiments. Okay. I did that from my home little laboratory. They called me, they conducted the experiment. They didn't give me feedback until days later, after they reviewed the findings themselves. I had no part in that. That was on them. That's the head PhD over there that did that. And they wanted to offer me a job, for crying out loud, at the damn institute. You know what I mean? And so, that was amazing. The findings are amazing. Coming in August, I will be in Virginia at the IRVA Monroe Conference. Okay, you got the International Remote Viewing Association that's teaming up with the Monroe Institute. They have a huge conference coming up in Virginia. The president of IRVA is my teacher. And so we are together, who is a PhD, we are together she is conducting an experiment with me where it's going to be another blind cold experiment.
I've kind of changed up my channel a little bit because otherwise you're just another dude with a box at a desk, talking to dead people, compared to trying to, and I believe this is what you are doing as well, but trying to educate the audience. Hey, this is real. This is why it's real. Let me show you why it's real. Let me explain why it's real. And that's why I've, after I heard the scientifically proven, that got under my skin a little bit.
I mean, that guy makes a lot of claims. I mean, for being as brilliant as he is, and I mean, remove the personal stuff that him and I ever had. That's all separate, and we're not talking about it. Right. But on a research level, I mean, the man has done some brilliant, amazing things, and at the same time has worked really hard to also hurt himself dramatically. You know what I mean? And I think it sucks because you've got the complete fakes, like the kid that hides his face with the box in front of him. Then you got guys like the other guy I'm just talking about, who I don't think is fake. I think because I've worked with him and I used to validate a lot of the stuff that he was doing by doing it myself. But he's then mixed in other things that are questionable. And that's where you're like, why? And, the thing about it is, it's like, your statement of that that you erase the celebrity sessions and you're not doing anyone in the recording era, I think is a really cool and a respectable statement. I'm not willing to do that because I really enjoy asking for well-known people. The results that I get are real now, and I love what I'm getting, and I love also trying to show people sessions with people that they wanted to see. But it gets lumped in with all the other nonsense. So then it hurts. So now I'm I'm still going to do some well-known, I guess, just celebrities that had nothing to do, and that maybe just passed. I may wait, I'll wait a week or two or whatever it is, and I'll ask for them. And I'm always respectful and I'm loving, and it's just the realest, coolest thing ever when I do it. But I don't know if you saw, but I just asked for Dolores Cannon. And what an amazing session this was. And the people that saw it and responded on TikTok and responded on YouTube were just so elated and happy. And there was more love shown because what I believe, and I believe it was her that came through. I believe I connected to her. She was, the responses were so cool, so loving, so revealing at times, and so amazing. So, I'm going to ask for like Lorraine Warren. I'm going to ask for Thomas Edison. I'm going to ask for Edgar Cayce. I'm going to ask for other people. I might even ask for Brown, the medium that died. There was some controversy around her. I forgot her name. Sylvia Brown, yeah. Right. I want to ask for her. I want to ask for some people like this, and I want to see what we can learn, because I do feel a responsibility as being one of the real people out there that's willing to show their stuff, that's willing to prove it with scientists, that's willing to go and, open up every aspect of what I do. I know that on the other side, there's somewhat of a respect for what I do. And I believe that I get better results because of that. So I do believe there's a responsibility. But to get those people on the other channels to be called to a higher standard of it's just not going to happen, especially for the people that are not interested in showing you how it works, because they don't even know how it fully works, or they're doing something nefarious possibly.
Well, and also, just to touch on that, I want to be careful how I say this, because you and I share some of the same subscribers, which I am extremely grateful for. We do know that there are viewers out there who they don't want to see what people like us are doing. They want to see, the twins out there. Oh, that door just slammed. Well, no, your buddy was back there and slammed the door. They want
the entertainment.
Exactly. So that's, well, before I get into that, because you're getting me on a roll now, I do want to mention one thing that you brought up, and I'm happy that you did. I knew damn well that I was shooting myself in the foot when I said, no more celebrity sessions. That's it. I'm done. And that was just for me. As an official note, I don't really have a problem with people who want to do celebrity sessions, because I've had some other people contact me, smaller channels. They're like, "Whoa, hey Phil, we do celebrity stuff too. Don't hate us because we do it." No, I don't hate it.
Yeah,
and it's just me, and it was because of really two YouTubers and what they were doing.
I know,
and and I did have celebrity.
You gotta let him out?
No. Oh. Hey, get out of there. He's a prima donna. and he's upset that he's not getting any attention.
I know. The cats are like that with me. I lock the door and I lock him out.
I've tried that with him.
Yeah, you can't do that with him though.
No, he'll scratch at the door.
Yeah,
he'll start barking. It'll be a mess.
Right.
But I was having 98% of the people who write in, who leave comments, are fantastic. Even the ones who have a different belief, they voice it in a very respectful way. It's the 2% who are writing in, don't you have any morals? Don't you have any ethics? Don't you, and it was always around the celebrity stuff. And I figured it was because possibly they were being bombarded by these other channels. And I just didn't want to be lumped in with those people. So I knew there was a danger with making that statement. And so I do want to make it very clear that in general, I don't have a problem with people who are doing celebrity sessions, providing that they are sincere and real celebrity sessions.
If you know they're real, why would you be against that? Because because this is the thing. If I did every celebrity session and every time I posted one and you watched it, you heard, leave me alone. I don't want to talk. Get away from me. I don't know who you are. If you heard these kind of responses every time, you'd be like, dude, you're bothering these people. I mean, this is like, you're bothering them. But if you listen to the sessions, and once you've gotten past the other two crap channels or the other ones that are doing the BS,
right?
And you know that I'm showing you what I'm doing is real and that I'm proving myself, and you hear the responses that are like, thank you. We wanted to talk. We heard that we could talk through this and we wanted to talk. Then you're like, whoa, that's really great. You're giving them a voice, and you're always so respectful, Josh. Thank you for that. That's the kind of stuff I get. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, some people say, well, I don't ever see any comments on your channel challenging you. And I say, well, if you comment and say, I don't believe this is how this works, can you show me this, or can you answer some questions? That comment is staying on my channel.
Right.
And not only is it staying on my channel, it's going to get a very respectful response from me. Mm-hmm. And we can dialogue. We can go back and forth. But if you're going to give me the 2% comments, you are a moralist, charlatan, and you don't care. And this is not, I had one guy comment yesterday on the Dolores Cannon video, and they go, this is not ITC. No, you're wrong. This is called ITC. I am using an instrument. I'm doing it legitimately, and I am communicating interdimensionally with an intelligence. Now, can I say that I know for sure that was Dolores Cannon? No, I can't. She didn't give me her driver's license through the spirit box, but I can tell you that the responses were indicative of what she would say. Based on her followers that watched it. I didn't know that this is what she was going to say. I don't know. So it's like, I asked for Freddie Mercury. I mean, Freddie Mercury, I don't know if it was him, but he was like, the responses I captured were, this is what you guys always wanted me to do, something like that. And people always wanted him to do interviews. He didn't want to do interviews. So, and he says, and then I said, are you okay? And I get the response, I never say shit, but I'm all right.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, how cool is that? You know what I mean? Like he was saying, like, I really don't talk much. I don't want to say much about it, but I am okay. And he gave us.
I saw that video, and and it was when I heard that response come through, I was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool.
That could be Freddie, right?
Yeah, because he was on stage. He was a showboater,
right?
But private life,
he was quiet and he was more withdrawn.
Very much so,
right?
Which would be in character. So there was something else that you said that I had to comment on. It there was we talked about the celebrity stuff, but then you said something else, and I
say a lot of things. I'm sorry.
I'm mad at myself now for not remembering, because I wanted to. I had a comment about it, and it just slipped me that quickly. How when people are searching out these that's what it was. When people are searching out these these paranormal investigators or ITC practitioners, and if they're wanting real, how educated should the audience be?
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, the audience ranges from people that, like I said, believe Jamie Foxx is dead and there's an avatar walking around of him, to people that are actually very well read, very intelligent, well spoken, and know how to ask the proper questions. So you're going to get the full gamut of people on YouTube. This is not, I was in I was in Savannah for my last event, and I did the most active place I've ever been. It was the historic Savannah Theater. Mm-hmm. It was on Portals to Hell with Jack Osborne. He investigated it. I don't know if Bagans was ever there or not. I don't know. I don't care. But I went there, and the guys that run it are a paranormal team that kind of run the location. They've got their stuff set up for you to use if you want, but you don't have to. Of course, you can use your own stuff, and that's what we did. I had a smaller group there this time because I was an idiot that planned the event on Super Bowl weekend. So, you live and learn. Yeah. But, we had a great group, and it was the most active place that I had ever seen. The orbs, the light anomalies that were non-existent the whole time we were there until we were interacting with them and asking for them to show themselves. A door opens on its own with no one around it. I mean, it opened up about a foot. And then all of a sudden there was this explosion of light anomalies moving in very independent, intelligent ways. It was very interesting. And the responses I was getting through the PSB-7, through the Hope app, through other people's equipment, through the DR60, through the Panabox radio. I was using 5 different pieces of equipment, and the communication was just congruent. It just kept on, going and carrying on. It was amazing. Now that video is like one of the least viewed videos that I have now. And I'm going, why? Why would you not want to see this amazing? But so people do want to see more of, I guess, the well-known people.
Sure.
And, it's a kind of a catch-22 because, I want to ask for people that I feel like I have some connection with, that I feel like I knew something about. So I want to ask. I don't want to, but I do ask for people that I didn't know anything about too sometimes. And I think that's really fun too, because I know nothing. So, and I don't want to look up anything online or anything before I ask for them. I just want to get the basic broad strokes and then see what comes to me intuitively and then what comes through the box. Right. And I think that's great. But, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just saying that, like, that's just, it's tough because I am trying to survive with what I'm I used to have a lot of different businesses, and this was my hobby more. Mm-hmm. And the more that I saw that I was effective more and more with what I was doing, I felt like I had more of a purpose here than running a hookah bar, or more of a purpose than running a wholesale company, or even being a filmmaker, which I absolutely love and adore and actually had some success in doing. I have to rely on what I'm doing to make. I have 2 young children, and so that doesn't mean that I have to whore myself out in any way in the paranormal field. Right. I could do, I'm booked up with readings and sessions up to 3 months in advance, and I wouldn't be if I opened up more spots during the month. So I would only be about a month out if I said, no, I'm only limiting myself to about 15 to 20 sessions a month, if that, for clients, readings or sessions. And I do that because it takes energy, it takes time to review. So it's not about a money-making thing. And then if I see that my channel ad revenue is dropping because of potential shadow ban or just whatever the case is, I don't know, that is kind of scary. Mm-hmm. But I also can't just up the ante now. I can't just up the ante. Now I need to have a drawer open up on its own, or I need to capture a photo of someone's face in a bowl of water. That I'm sorry. That doesn't make sense how good that looks. You need to show us more to see that.
And I guess this is partially why I'm asking how educated should the audience be? Because I know when you take a look at a person's timeline of their videos, when you see someone who says, "Hey, look, I discovered how to do images on AI, and I can make fantastic art with AI," and then there are, water ITC images that come out and they're almost perfect. It's like,
do that with someone's loved one.
right.
Do that with, see, now I offer photography sessions like Sonia Rinaldi does. Sonia Rinaldi has proved herself. I mean, I don't know. I see some of her stuff and I'm going, wait a minute. Show me the process on how you did that, because that image looks real. But she's more respected in the ITC photography area. I have a session now where people are booking a session where it's a box session, and then with using this backdrop and using a bowl of water ITC, I do that, but I also use digital ITC, which is using the digital noise that is happening on the matrixing and digital noise that's happening on the backdrop of my screen.
I see.
And I'm doing this for people's loved ones. Now, they are not providing me with a photo. They're not giving me anything other than the loved one's name at the moment of the on video session. So it's not like, give me the name prior, it's just very simple. And I am now asking for the loved one to show themselves. And I am capturing amazing photos. I mean, I really, let me see something. I'm going to show you something. I don't think you're going to let me here. I don't know if that's going to work. Let me see if I can do it.
Try to share. I think you can share something.
Yeah, I can share. I'm just going to see. Hold on. Give me a second. I just want to show you just one example of what I'm talking about. This is pretty amazing stuff. Hold on. What? Oh, give me a break. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. You were saying. I was going to say,
if you can't get it to share, if you want to send me the image, I can put it in.
Yeah, I mean, I have it right here. I just clicked on it and it just said the image couldn't be found. So that's not right. But I have it right here. I'm just going to send it over to my computer real quick. Hold on.
Sure.
And then I can probably just pull it right up.
It's fascinating. I never thought about using digital grain, so to speak, as
check this out. Yeah, here, watch this. I'll show you. This is so cool. Window, there it is. Let's see if this works. Oh, is it in the window? Can you show that? Okay.
Yeah, we got it up.
So now check this out. This is my This is my hand. This is my backdrop. Look at this guy's face right here.
Like he's looking to the left.
I mean, yeah,
it'd be our left.
Two eyes.
Yep.
You probably can't see can you see my mouse? Can you see my cursor? No.
I can't.
My arrow. Okay, so you can't see my arrow. Okay. But yeah, I mean, you could see the mouth, the nose, the two eyes, and the hair, and it's a face. It's right there, showing up in the corner.
Kind of a longer face.
Yeah. I mean, it's circled with the red circle. You can see, I just highlighted in the bottom photo just so you could see it. But that looks like the person's loved one. I mean, I don't have the photo to show you side by side of the person. I do have I can't pull it up right this second. But I mean, that's what we're getting. We're getting amazing photos like this. Now that's ITC. That's what we're doing. That's amazing stuff. And anyway.
So what would you do if somebody, let's say Hockey Mask, comes up to you and says, "Oh no, that's just pareidolia. That's all that is." What would be your response?
I'm saying that there's an actual. I mean, at what point is my face pareidolia right now? I mean, is this pareidolia for you? I mean, I don't know what else to say anymore. Like, if that's where the person's belief is so strong in against this, Jesus himself could show himself as an apparition in front of that hockey mask guy, and he still wouldn't believe it. So what am I supposed to say or do? I mean, you are denying legitimate evidence that's right there in black and white pretty much for you to see.
I think you kind of hit it on the head earlier when you had mentioned just contact me, just ask, just open a dialogue. Let's talk about
That's another thing. The hockey mask guy, I'm the only one other than like a few others that I think just attacked him back in a way. But I said in his comments, dude, if you were legitimate in wanting to find out the truth, you've got me right here. I will go on Zoom with you. I will talk to you. I will explain any question you have. And he had no interest in that.
Interesting.
He had no interest in that. And then he makes another hate video a month later. And I said, wait a minute. I already called you out. I already told you that I would be willing to go over anything that you see in my video. We'll do a side-by-side. We'll do a review together. Whatever you want, I will talk. But he doesn't want that. The guy with the beard does not want that. I'm sorry. He does not want that. He may say that now after he hears this and says, oh, okay, maybe, but I don't think he will. And anyone else that has done those debunks are not willing. And some of them are not even capable of doing that. If I got on with them, it's probably another futile battle, but I would be doing it willing to show the person that's on the fence, the person that's watching me and then watching the hockey mask guy going, I like Josh's sincerity and the way that he's talking and he's willing to show this, but darn it, I don't believe a lot of this stuff. This is hard for me to believe. And now hockey mask guy is real disrespectful, but he is bringing up some points that I kind of agree with or that I think that he could be onto. What do I believe now? Now, if those two guys could get together and kind of hash it out in a respectful way, that would help me, the guy on the fence.
Right.
But that's not happening. And, so, I mean, how do you deal with that?
And I think that is a change that needs to take place. But is honesty going to trump views? Because I think it is worth it for, if anyone's going to do a debunk, remove your personal feelings from it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just tell you really quickly, like, I don't watch Lainey and Ben. I know that they're a channel. I just know that they're a channel. And I think I've seen like one video of theirs in the past, and I don't know if they're upping the ante in their videos or not. I don't know if they're trying to, go to the next level of getting the views. I don't know. But I know that the guy with the beard has definitely attacked them a few times. And finally, the guy came back, Lainey or Ben came back and said, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to comment. I have to comment on this. And he says, I like debunking, and I think debunking is cool. And when you're really actually debunking, that's really good. Mm-hmm. But now it's turned into personal attacks. And now you're just personally attacking me, saying I'm on drugs or I'm getting a tranny, changeo or something like that and all this stuff. He goes, that's not okay. He goes, that's not right. And I agreed with him. I don't agree with them. I don't know what they do on their channel, so I can't comment to what they do. But I watched part of that and I went, yeah, I mean, he's right about some of the stuff he's saying, because this isn't about debunking anymore. It should be, but it's not. It's turning into, I got to trump the next debunker and I got to tear down these other guys a lot harder now, because that's where I'm going to get the views. So,
it's really turned into its own version of politics. And
sure.
Which is a shame, because when you do have people who are trying to do something sincere, who are, maybe they have their own curiosities, or maybe they have things that happened to them when they were a kid and they want answers, or maybe they just want to know, but whatever the reason is, if they're sincere and they're actually trying, it hurts them by the debunkers who are attacking everyone regardless, and frankly the people who are working in the paranormal and they're faking their results. So at what point, I don't know, man. It's when it comes to especially YouTube in particular, and I'm not saying that YouTube in any way is a bad platform. I've actually really enjoyed being on YouTube, but it also is what it is. You know, when you are fighting for views and subscribers and all that other stuff, at what point, does
listen, this is what's going to happen. This is what the only way it's going to change is going to be, and I'm not high and mighty on myself at all, but I'm going to say that it's going to change by trailblazers such as myself, in the sense that I am going to force people's hands. In that I am going to go do the conferences. I'm going to go continue to work with scientific institutes and professionals. And I'm going to go do these kinds of things. I'm still going to post my sessions on YouTube, but I'm going to continue to show my method, give you the tools that I'm using. I'm going to continue to try to debunk my own stuff. I'm going to try to be objective every step of the way. I'm going to continue to be open and go work with these other places. And eventually people are going to have to take notice. Even the debunkers are going to, or they're going to ignore me. They're going to ignore me because I'm not easy to debunk now, because I'm not fake. So they're going to just go, well, that doesn't fit my narrative. He doesn't fit my narrative.
Right.
I need the guy, the kid with the ITC in his name, and I need the other, I need the shadows and the stick figures and the other things, the balls moving across the floor when, it's something attached to it. That's what those guys need in order for their content to continue, not me, because they're going to say, and they can lump me in, but I mean, it's not going to be good for either of us really, but it's not, you know what I mean? So I'm going to keep doing things like that. And eventually someone's going to take notice that is going to be a bigger, and I don't want to end up on TV because I see what happens. I do want to do a show one time in my life. I do want to end up on a show, my show, or a show that I can work with and really show some good stuff, right? Okay. But I see what happens to all these TV people.
Right.
They're nobodies beforehand. Then they get somehow picked up by central casting. They get thrown into some show. Now they're all of a sudden some kind of expert. I don't know.
Right.
The show lasts 2 seasons, and now they end up where I'm at right now. They end up on YouTube, trying to start a YouTube channel, trying to ride off of their TV fame, trying to do YouTube videos, and then trying to appear at every single Paracon that they can appear at as a paid appearance to sign some autographs and take some pictures or whatever, and to keep their fame going. I'm not interested in that, okay? I'm interested in legitimately being known as one of the people that did real work, and that when I'm gone, that the library of my work will be there, just like someone like a Dolores Cannon or whoever else that can say, this is what I did. You may not agree with it always here, but this is it. I was always open about it, and it's there for the people that are legitimately looking for answers.
Well, that's what I guess in my own way that I'm trying to do is kind of fight back without fighting back, fighting back through proof and through education. And I think in your way you are educating. I'm trying to educate and bore people in the process, because you do have those people. In fact, I had a guy send me a message on the Facebook page because I had made a comment about not being happy with, people who are falsifying their findings. And I feel like something should be, said about it or done about it. Someone needs to start a conversation about this. And he wrote in, and I don't know this guy, never talked to him before, but he wrote in and said, "You don't need to be the paranormal police."
Oh.
And I thought,
why?
I'm not trying to be the police. I'm trying to start a conversation.
Well, then who should be the paranormal police?
That's the thing. Why if you
who are you to say that they shouldn't be or he shouldn't be? I mean, if someone decides to be that, then let them be that. If that's fine, what does it matter? It's like it bothered him.
Well, and if you had touched on this before, if what you do is legitimate, if what you do is real, then you're not going to have a problem.
Correct.
With someone coming out and trying to put some legitimacy into the field. So I was really taken aback by that comment. I don't know what else.
I mean, listen, Philip, it's great to talk about all this stuff. So the fact that, you had great talking points, we're talking about it. This is all we can do every once in a while or more often or whatever. I mean, I don't know that this is going to change anything. It may show that you're a true seeker looking for the answers, looking for the truth. It's going to show maybe more of my sincerity in the fact that I'm willing to answer the tough questions that even people that are real are not willing to answer for some reason, because they don't want to come under the scrutiny of being attacked or whatever.
It's funny. I know a few people who, because I have put out there, if what you do is real, do a live, show us what you do. Now, I know that you hold events. You kind of take it to the next level. You hold events.
Yeah, so, man.
I'm not there by any means yet, but
I wanted to do that. Yeah.
And I think that needs to be done. But the people who claim the most that what they do is real and authentic, I don't ever hear anything.
They're inaccessible completely. I mean, they're almost to the point of, they're hermits in a way now, and I mean, that's fine. I don't knock the lifestyle if that's what you want to live. Like, I can't do that. I need to get out there. I'm trying to get out there. I'm a social person. I go to recovery meetings. I do all kinds of different things that have nothing to do with this, but also helping other people, with their spirituality and sharing my experience, strength, and hope. I love doing that. I love connecting. I want to do more events. I want to do more conferences. Mm-hmm. I do live sessions every month. And I know you said, well, not just to your patrons, but, I don't do the live sessions as much anymore to the public, just because it's a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. But I do my live sessions every month, and I'm going to continue to do my live events, and anyone is free to come to those. Mm-hmm. If a skeptic wants to come there, that would be cool. I would even invite a skeptic to come. Like, I'll give you half off on a ticket if you're like that, if you want to come and be objective and I know you're going to be respectful. Let's do it, man. That's research. Right. That's what research is. That is great. Anything I do for the scientific community is going to be scrutinized. And those guys are not going to be like, they're not going to sign on to what I'm doing. They're going to be very standoffish to it. But if they're going, wait a minute, the president of this association conducted an experiment where she did not give this person any names and asked him to do a session, and the results are, that's going to get people's attention. The results are real. That's going to get people's attention. That's how the remote viewing community works. You assign a location, a number, and you give these readers a target number, and you tell them to, just here's the number. Now go look at it. Here's an event, here's a place, here's a person, here's just the number for that. Go look at that. And then it's our job as the reader to tune into that. That's awesome stuff, man. I mean, Ingo Swann was an amazing remote viewer who worked with the government. I mean, you've got the CIA, experiments and things that were done. I mean, these are real things that were done that the mainstream mainstream scientific community still is like, because it's non-quantifiable. They cannot quantify intuitive ability. That's the problem. When they can get past that and they can be open to that, that's when the doors are going to get blown off this thing. Is that when the scientific community can say, results can be reproduced, we can get reproduced results, but it is going to require someone to use their magic powers at times. That's when, things can happen. But until then, Bob the scientist, who has absolutely no belief in this, is not going to get the same results that I get.
I'm hoping that, that is starting to change a little bit, because we are seeing more and more from universities and from some scientific
about consciousness.
Exactly. And so I'm hoping that between like the Bix Institute or with the Parapsychological Association or even the New York University or University of Edinburgh who are doing these studies,
Arizona,
exactly, that they will start to say, well, hey, wait a minute, that there'll be some maverick scientist out there who goes, well, you know what? We all go around, we talk about biology and chemistry and thermodynamics and all of this other stuff. And if we are now concluding that consciousness is its own energy and that there is energy within the mind, not the brain, but within the mind,
right? Maybe
we can actually test this. And like you said, we can test, retest to see if we get the same results, test again, and then go, maybe there actually is something to this. Then we can start opening up those doors a little bit more instead of someone saying, hey, look at my amplifier. It's scientifically proven.
Right. No, I know. I've done 2 sessions now where I've reached out to coma patients, and the responses I captured during those 2 sessions were detailed and were direct and, responses that would lead me to believe, I can't prove it yet, but would lead me to believe that they were the people that were still in their bodies in an intubated state communicating with me through my equipment. Mm-hmm. I could prove that by being allowed by people's loved ones mm-hmm. to go into a place of hospice or to go into a place that there are people in comas and be able to sit bedside with them and conduct, controlled, supervised experiments, mm-hmm. communications. I know I could. That's a touchy subject, right. And that would be tough to conduct that kind of experiment. But, when I've had people that know me, that are losing people that are in a hospital, reach out to me, I'm able to do that. And, so that's another field of study of this ITC that we need to tap into, and we just haven't been able to yet,
Exactly. And, maybe within time, it's taken us a couple hundred years to get to where we're at right now, and we are still fighting, the fakes against the reals.
Yeah, I mean, with Thomas Edison's breakthroughs, with Tesla's breakthroughs, with Konstantin Radovau's breakthroughs, right. Those should have spurned the next movement.
Should have,
and it didn't. They died with it, right. Because it got movement. And then it got ridicule, and then it got killed.
Right.
And then every few years, there's another movement like this, and it's getting, it gets a little bit more attention each time, but then gets killed right. by, the fakes that are doing it, by someone that is well known gets debunked, and it's undeniable. One of the things that the guy talked about in the End of the Era video that he posted about, why he was, whatever he was doing, mm-hmm. but he was talking about that, when he did sessions for the Indians, the Indian people about, reaching out, and that, he mentioned that there were people that really noticed it and tried to debunk it. Well, the problem with that is that, and I don't think that his sessions were fake. I think that they were real. Okay. That's just my personal opinion. I think that those sessions that he was doing, reaching out to these Indian actors and well-known people, I think they were real. The problem is that he didn't vet some of his evidence. He didn't review it properly. He didn't catch the false positives, and he posted false positives that I think that he did not mean to get. Mm-hmm. But he didn't catch those. And so people were able to debunk some of those responses that he captured. And it was just, there's no line of defense from him on those. Like, you can't say, oh, I made a mistake and a forward speaking response made it in there when it shouldn't have been, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I go to such lengths to try to catch the false positives, mm-hmm. because I don't want that kind of thing to happen. So those kinds of things hurt. People that are real, that are not properly vetting their evidence, or not vetting, I don't know if that's the proper word, but properly reviewing it, mm-hmm. and and catching those false positives. So it's tough, man. It's really tough.
It is tough because if, I know from personal experience that there is a danger with being too excited about it. About being on a location and you want something to happen.
It's true.
When I was living in Las Vegas and it was a very small team, Gina, Curtis, and myself. Curtis, he was the skeptic. And it was great having him along because I would see something, I'd go, oh, did you? And he's like, dude, that was dust that just flew by you. Just calm down a little bit,
Yeah.
We had briefly tried the SLS camera situation, and he was the first one to come out and say, I don't know, man, this seems to me like it's mapping things that are already in the room, and then
creating, right.
Exactly. And so we got rid of it. So there is a danger about wanting there to be something with, wanting there to have something to happen. So, the one side of my brain can understand why someone might add a little flair to a video, let's say from time to time. But you
don't have to, man.
But you don't have to, exactly.
You don't have to, man. Yeah, I don't even understand that. I understand what you're saying, but I don't even understand that because to me, the evidence itself is so amazing and compelling. We don't need to do this. We don't need to bump up the thing, man. It's just there.
Well, the thing is that, and I'm sure you know this, a lot of times, especially when you're out on location, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. And when something does happen, it really is an, oh my God.
I mean, I used to do this. I used to do more real-time conversing with them in the sessions, the spirit, okay? And what I would find is that when I went back and reviewed, I would hear the response in real time wrong. And that now the conversation would go in that direction and it would be very far off from what was really actually transpiring.
Gotcha.
So I stopped actually responding as much to the real-time responses I thought I heard. I would repeat what I thought I just heard, but I would still continue on with my conversation. And I'm going to tell you why. I noticed this happening in other people's sessions, including the one that we were just talking about sometimes, that they hear a lot more in real time. And that's fine. That's cool. Maybe you got a better spirit ear. That's cool or whatever. Okay. The problem is that when you say something that's wrong, or when you say you hear something in real time and you go back and it's clearly not that, I've seen these creators or whatever you want to call them put what they said in real time, clearly knowing that that's not what it is, but they don't want to be wrong and look like an asshole or look like an idiot, So they just put what they said clearly. And so that now you're shifting, you're changing the results based on what you thought, and that's not the right way to go. So,
it's not. And, and it's in my opinion, it's okay to say, whoops, I screwed up there.
Right.
I heard it wrong.
Right.
Or kind of getting back to the earlier comment saying, hey, you know what? Not a damn thing happened.
That happens to me, but I don't post those sessions a lot because I'm sorry. I already know that those videos are just not going to be seen. But if you ask me and say, hey, Josh, do you ever just turn on the box and not get anything, or it's just really poor results? I would say yes. About 30% of the time, I get that kind of result sometimes, and I have to go back and ask again, or I realize that person didn't want to speak maybe.
Right.
There's a number of different factors there. I may not have been that connected. I may have not really been focusing that hard. But that, we don't, there are sessions we don't get stuff, but
Absolutely. And I've done sessions where it did not go in any way, shape, or form the way I thought it was going to go or expected it to go. I didn't get the responses that I thought I was going to get. One of the celebrity sessions that I did do was for Kobe Bryant. And for me, it was a horrible session. It was, I don't want to talk. It was kind of very much a leave me alone situation. Figure, well, everybody else has talked to him, so he's
Well, that's why that's interesting you bring that up, because when someone passes now that's a well-known person, I am one of the first to try and reach them because of that reason right there. I know that I'm going to do a real job. I know that I'm going to connect with them, or I'm going to do everything in my power to connect. I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to be objective. I'm going to do all the things I can. And before anyone else starts blowing up their astral phone, I would like to try to reach them on an objective level first, but I'm not going to post it right away. So I'm going to reach out to them right away, but I'm going to wait a week or two or whatever to post the video if that's what I'm going to do. And I don't do this to everyone. If I feel like I feel the connection, I should do it, I will. But I mean, in fact, that happened with one of the Indian guys that I was asking for. He was like, no, I already spoke to, Huff. I already talked to Huff. And I'm like, okay, well, you can talk to me too, man. I mean, if you'd like, And he did. He warmed up, and it was like we had a really cool session. But at first, there was a little bit of a standoffish feeling. But that's my explanation and reasoning for how I do that. I just needed to say that. I feel like
no, that's fine. That's fine. And again, I don't have really any issue if someone wants to reach out to celebrity if their intentions are sincere.
Right.
If it is, hey, the Queen died, and it's the next day.
No, not the next day. 2 hours after.
Oh.
No, don't even. This was after. This came after a very sanctimonious speech about how, I'm not going to do any more well-knowns or whatever, and then literally 2 hours after the most famous person in the world passed, a session was up. That was crazy to me. Now, I did ask for her, and I did I think it was over a week after, or whatever the case was, and it was one of the most amazing sessions that I've ever done. Do I know it was the Queen of England? No, I do not. But what I tell you, what I captured visually and audibly was some of the most amazing evidence I've ever captured. And it was fantastic. But, so I get it. If people say, how dare you? You didn't know her. She didn't know you. You think she's going to come to you? She wouldn't come to me in this world, in this life. If I called Buckingham Palace and said, this is Josh and I want to talk to the Queen, they'd say, get the hell out of here, you nut. But if I'm one of the few on the other side that legitimately do this work, I may have a shot. They may take more consideration into that, I think.
You touched on something that I get comments on a lot, and that is, you're reaching out to someone who they spoke Old English, and, they're not from America. How do you expect them to understand you? And I'm sure you get those comments from time to time as well. My explanation, what I believe anyway, and I could be wrong, it's just a theory, is that once you're out of the body and your energy, then you don't have those limitations.
I believe that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that too, because, one of the most controversial things that I do in my work is not just the celebrity sessions or not the reaching out to people that are potentially in coma or that are in comas. It's the animal sessions that I've done.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why. Because, and I still have a hard time understanding this. I don't know how this works. I can attribute it to what the explanation that you just gave as being the reason. But I have asked for animals now, and I get English responses. Now, well, that's happened now for a couple of years now, and so I don't know what to tell you. Can I tell you that it's the dog themselves speaking English? I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with that. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm not going to conduct the session and I'm not going to ask for them Now, is a guide somehow speaking for the animal? Mm-hmm. I don't know, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it's actually them speaking somehow. And they're giving very direct responses to their owners about what happened to them at the vets or what happened to them at home. I mean, dude, how is that possible? I don't know.
So if we're just going to throw a what if out there, there is, I can't remember all of the archangels, but I do know that there is an archangel that looks over animals.
Okay.
I kind of want to look that up now.
I can give you an explanation. See, I found this out. I started getting the animal responses about a year prior to finding out a potential reason why.
Okay.
And then I found out a potential reason why. And the way I found it out was from my guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. Mm-hmm. He explains that a soul will go through all forms of life before it reaches a human. That's interesting. So he's saying that you as a soul in the beginning of your souldom, stardom, whatever, will be, you could be a plant. It's just so crazy. He's saying that eventually you will work your way up through the animal tier. And that when you get to a dog, a horse, an ape, you get a dolphin, the highest intelligent form of animals, that they will graduate from being an animal to a human. I mean, this is just what the guru is saying. I'm the messenger, but I can see your eyes going like,
no.
It's just crazy though, because I read this and I'm going, okay. And so like I was on with a patron and I was doing my live session with them, right? A group session live on Zoom. And this woman, she lives in California and she's asking for her to see son. And she's standing in the stables and right behind her is a horse with the horse's head kind of on her shoulder watching me. It was like so cool, man. It was just so cool. And I had just read what Yogananda had talked about. And I went, I said, Christy, I said, you know how cool this is? I said, that horse is going to be a human when it dies. And she's like, oh, I love her. And she's so amazing. Like, I didn't know that. Like, and I said, I told her where I got the information from. That night, the horse died.
Oh, wow.
That night, the horse died. And she says, Josh, if you didn't inadvertently say that to me, I would be absolutely destroyed right now. But because you shared that information with me, I feel just a little bit better. And I don't feel like it was a coincidence that you said that and then the horse died that night.
Wow.
It's just really remarkable stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's just really, so, I mean, anyway, it's...
And there's no such thing as coincidence. So
no, I mean, coincidence, coincide is a mathematical term to mean that two angles come together. So, I mean, the way that we use coincidence is not even the proper way to use the word.
Exactly. I feel like I need to explain why I might have had a constipated look on my face while you were talking. It wasn't that I thought you were nuts. It was actually you had started a thought process in my head, because prior to coming out to Pennsylvania, where I'm at now, I had studied for years yoga. Now, people out here in the States, they think that yoga is a bunch of exercises that you do.
Oh, it's not. It's union with God. It's meditation.
That's exactly what it is. It's a spiritual experience. It's learning that you are separate from your body. And the exercises are just the physical manifestation of that representation. So when you're talking about that, it got me to thinking that if your guru is saying that you go through these different stages, I already kind of loosely have a theory that part of the reason that we are even here is for the experience of it, is the experience of life. And so what I was thinking when I had that look on my face, what I was thinking of, is part of that for a totalitarian experience.
It is. I mean, what I believe, and I think you're touching on it, and I'm just going to tell you what Guru says and what I believe as it resonates as truth with me. because I've discovered in my own research as far as I believe this to be the case. I've said this in other interviews. What is the one thing God does not have?
Human form, the ability to...
There's one thing. There's only one thing that the all-powerful creator of the universe, multiverse, whatever you want to call it, doesn't have. I know, it's an interesting... I don't want to just give you the answer yet.
I see.
I see. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you what it is. So this is just because I don't know if you got the right answer, but I'm going to just say that this is what it is. Love from us.
Oh, no, that's not where I was going at all.
Okay, and that's why I kind of thought maybe. So the one thing God does not have, if there is a God, which I believe there is, right? We don't know that, right? But okay. But if there is this all-powerful creator, the one thing I believe, and based on what my guru says, and I can wholeheartedly agree, is that he doesn't have our love. Why does he not have our love? It's not a guarantee that God gets our love. Mm-hmm. Why? It's free will. Free will. He gave us free will. So we are able to do whatever we want. That means that consequences can still happen and are going to happen. For every action, there's a reaction. So if we're going to do good things, that energy will come back to us. If we do bad things, that energy will come back to us. But we have free will. So think about this. The creator of everything has experienced everything, but there's one thing it hasn't experienced, and that is giving its children free will and what they will do with it. And so they can, God, the Almighty, He, She, Divine, could create whatever they want and do whatever they want. But what I believe, based on the information and the research, I believe that at one point He, She sent out little points of itself as points of consciousness out into the universe, whether that's in human form, alien form, anything and everything comes from that creator. Okay. So that means all good and bad comes from, so it's either God is everything or nothing. And so the fact is that now those points of consciousness are out there to experience the cosmos. And they have free will to do whatever they want with some limitations, with the laws of physics. But now He wants them to come back to Him, but He can't make them come back. He could absolutely make them come back, but what's the point in that? There's no point in that. So now the collective conscious, the individual consciousness and collective has to choose to go back to the source, to ascend back to the source. So there's some that are choosing that, like myself, like you in a sense. We are looking for good. We're looking for positive. We're looking to help. We're looking to be of a good force in the universe. But then there are plenty that are not, that are trying to be the bad, okay. So that's the one thing. So I think that's just absolutely amazing that if He sends us all out and says, start from the bottom, work your way on up, and hopefully you continue to ascend to a point that you just want to come back home to me because I love you so much and I'm willing to just leave you alone. That's how much I love you, that I'm willing to not impose my will on you, that I'm going to let you deny me for hundreds of lifetimes if you want. But hopefully, if you do turn to me and ask me for help, I'm willing to help you. I'm ready to help you. I love you. That is amazing. That to me is amazing. And so if a soul has to start off as a plant that goes to a chipmunk, that goes to a squirrel and on upward to a horse, and then eventually reaches a person, and hopefully that person continues to ascend on its journey back to the source. I think that's really what it's about.
I've actually had a fairly similar thought, so I'm happy to hear that you are vocalizing it, because I've made it fairly clear in some of my past videos that I grew up in a Christian-based household, and I think we've all heard the one passage of, you are created within my likeness. And when I was a kid, I never understood that because people look so different.
Right.
But then I thought, wait a minute, what if it's not physical?
Right.
Likeness. It is that spirit. It is that energy that we are plucked.
But we could see that. Now, what you just said is what we could see. Now, I firmly believe that the orbs are the soul coming in, and they're traveling in the purest form of what they are made of, and in the most economical way to travel, which is a ball.
Right.
Okay. There's no resistance to the atmosphere. And it could shrink itself down to a little point of light, and it can move around and conserve its energy. But it is light. Our soul is light. And so we've seen in hospice, when someone dies, we'll see a ball of light leave the top of their head, or another ball come in, and then a ball of light leave their body. You could see, as I ask for these loved ones, a ball of light will enter my head or enter my body to communicate with me. I'll then say, thank you, we're done. A ball of light will leave, and I'll say a new name, and a new ball of light will come in. So I believe what you're seeing is exactly what you just described. That likeness, the spark of the divine light. That is what. So when you see those balls of light, they all look the same. Some are different size, some are moving different, but they all look the same. So that's the likeness that you're talking about, I believe.
Yeah, and that was, and when I had that thought, certain things I was taught as a kid who was going to church started to make a little more sense. You know, it wasn't a fantastical story that I couldn't wrap my head around.
No, it's scientific.
There was a science behind it, exactly. And I was like, okay. So there's
just think about how amazing what you just said is, because you're saying the science of God, the science of spirituality. I don't care what religion you believe in. I don't care what belief system you have. When you die, the same thing happens. Now, we may perceive it differently. We may even encounter a different vision according to some of our beliefs, or according to some of what we were raised in, right? If someone believed in Allah, they may get a vision of Allah when they die. If they believed in Buddha, they will get a vision of Buddha. So there could be some variances in that. But the science behind the death and the leaving of the body and transferring from one form of energy to another is all the same.
It is. And one thing, again, a kid in Sunday school and church, you always hear about you would never be able to look upon God because of the brightness of his light.
He's right. They're right.
And so when you think about that, when you reverse engineer that in a way into a scientific,
absolutely,
it makes sense, because think about it. It is written that God always has been, always will be, wasn't created, can't be destroyed. When you take a look at how they define energy, always has been, always will be, can't be created, can't be destroyed.
And they say that everything that has happened is happening now and has happened in the future are happening at one time, which is even crazier. Dolores Cannon talks about that. Quantum physicists talk about that if that's the case, that if quantum theory is right, that statement backs up what you just said. Always was. I don't know how you said it, but that is again scientifically explaining that statement.
And here's the great thing about this: for anybody who decides to come in and watch this at some other point, if any of your people, any of my people, strangers who happen to find this on the podcast channel for YouTube, any of the stuff that we are talking about, if they have a question, all they have to do is research it. Just Google it.
Yeah.
They don't have to take your word for it. They don't have to take my word for it. Just Google it. And they will see that, hey, maybe these two guys are actually onto something, and that there is a legitimacy to spirit, and there is a legitimacy to speaking to spirit, and maybe even seeing spirit if you're lucky enough, instead of just, people with string closing doors and that there's...
If people can fight through the fake ITC channels, the dramatic statement makers, all of that nonsense, and they're lucky enough to find a guy like you, or a guy like me, or a guy that is 100% real and willing to show what they're, and then actually capturing amazing stuff, that is a true blessing.
Right.
Because now they may not be capturing that stuff themselves, but they are being exposed to the truth. If they have the gift of discernment, or they can use discernment to say, okay, this guy over here that doesn't show his face in this box with the visualizer just constantly moves with his voice, and that doesn't feel right to me. Right. But this guy over here, he's really explaining it and he's willing to show, and I just can feel that he's being real. Then all of a sudden you're getting a gift.
Right.
And it's not a gift from me. It's a gift from the universe, the powers that be, that are willing to show themselves through these means.
Exactly. Man, Josh, I don't think we can do any better with this conversation.
I agree, man. I think
that right there.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot thank you enough. I mean,
I love you, brother. I appreciate you, man. You know?
Oh, same here. Man, when you said that you were willing to do this and actually have this conversation, I think this is good in a lot of different ways. For the community, for you, for me, I think it's welcome. I think it's needed. I think more conversations across the board like this need to happen. And just seriously, man, thank you.
Absolutely, brother. Anytime. I mean, I think we should still, every couple months or so, set a time to do it and talk and hit what's current and what and hit some old points, hit some new points, and just keep hashing it up because. Maybe it's just a few viewers at a time that kind of get the word and get the truth and go, okay, there's going to be people that watch this and had an opinion on me, and it may not be a very favorable one. And I would say, I don't blame you, because if I found me randomly on YouTube as well, I probably would think some of the same things. But give me a chance. Watch some of my stuff. Ask me some questions. I'm willing to answer them.
And
Let's talk.
And I do think that's the biggest part right there, is that you are welcoming people to talk to you. Because I'm sure I will have people who will reach out to me and say, "Hey,
how could you have that guy on?"
Yeah, but let's be honest. It's not the first time you've been on. It's not the first time you and I have had a chat, either publicly or privately. I mean, I have no problem letting people know that, you and I have spoken on the phone. I mean, we're not going out on the weekends and, drinking beers and watching, pole dancers or anything like that. It's nothing like that. But when we do talk, when we do converse, I've always found it pleasant. And so just
friends of the field. Friends of the field, that's, and then, it creates a great connection, and I'm willing to talk,
You know what's funny? I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but I was laughing about this to myself. I think, if I remember right, if it wasn't one of the first times, it was like the first time you and I actually had a chat, was I had created a video about your first app, and I had said some things in there, and you reached out to me, and you're like, "Whoa, hey, let's have a talk. Let me explain some things."
Yeah. Right. I didn't want any misconceptions to be spread. So I just wanted to clear that up with you, and we did, and that was great.
And you were fantastic. You were, I mean, if anyone is going to have something brought to their attention, I don't think they could have had it done in a nicer way. So,
oh, good. I'm getting better. Then that means that's good, because I'm telling you, man. I mean, and I say this in my videos. I'm a seriously flawed individual. So if you see, YouTube Josh version and think like, oh, how is he really? I mean, the fact is that what you are seeing in this interview is how I am. I'm very open. Sometimes I put my foot in my mouth. Sometimes I can be judgmental. I can be, self-seeking at times. I have to really check my motives all the time and keep working on me. That's what I have to do.
I think there's a phrase for that, and I think it's called being human.
Correct.
And there was the first time you and I had a chat publicly on YouTube. There was someone who wrote in, and they said, "Why would you talk to him? Because of and he listed, a few things. And
my association with someone probably too.
Well, that, and then I guess some history. And I said, well, everybody has made a mistake. Everybody is flawed in some way.
Oh, my criminal past, right?
And
that was off the charts. I think I'm deaf.
I am so sorry.
I don't think I can review
that.
a footage for the next week. Holy crap. I'll be like, what are you saying? I can't hear you. Holy cow. He's like, all right, I'm done. That's the 2-hour mark, pal.
Right.
I'm going to piss on your floor in a minute if you don't get me out of here. That was great.
Oh, God. I am so sorry about that. Yeah,
Hopefully
so I guess on that note,
out.
I guess probably should, because you've got a life to live.
I do.
But basically what I told the guy was, show me someone who hasn't made a mistake in their life in some way or another, and then you can show me a perfect person. It's I don't look at what someone has done. I look at how they are now. So,
well, I wear that crap on my sleeve, so no one can ever say that I've hid that part. It's in the first part of my book. I talk about the nitty gritty of it. I talk about how far down I went and how high I've been brought back up by the big guy upstairs.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I respect the fact that you are open about it, but it's not who you are. It may have been a part of your life, but it's not who you are. So
I agree.
But no,
thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, we will continue on. We will do this, and I'll look in the comments, and try to answer comments, questions people leave. Is this going to go on YouTube and the podcast, or is it going to be a video and a podcast, or what are you going to do?
Well, the intention was just to put this on the podcast section, but I could definitely list it as a video as well.
I think you should. I mean, I don't know if people get to see us and talk, see us talk, but I mean, I think that's a good thing too, because then I could share it easier on my stuff too, but. Yeah, do whatever you want to do. Let me know.
Well, and I think it's good because you have a pretty devout following, and I think they'd like to see you.
I think they'd like to see this.
Having a chit chat.
I would like for them to see this. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, then consider it done then.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
Yep. We'll talk again soon.
Exactly. Try to get your hearing back, and we'll just talk later on.
You got it, brother.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for being a part. If you stuck through the entire conversation, I would love to hear what you have to say. Put it down in the comment section below. And if you'd like to see more honest conversations like this, go ahead and tell me about it. All right, guys, until next time, take care. Bye-bye.